Hi everybody, welcome to EROAD Live. We are in Service Park in Canberra ahead of round one of the Bosch Motorsport Australia Rally Championship. Greg Rust and Dean Herridge with you, previewing the event. You might be able to hear some sprinkles of rain above us. That's a real talking point at the moment, isn't it?
It sure is, from the heights of the hot weather last year to the cold here. Our Storm Tech jacket's already in good use, mate, here, because the rain is coming and forecast to be massive downpours. So that is a big talking point amongst the crews.
We'll talk about that with our manager of the championship very shortly, in Adrian Coppin. But let's talk about the vibe around this. We are massively excited for the season ahead. We are off to WA next. We go to Tassie at the end of the year. There's visits to South Australia, Gippsland, and a whole lot more. It's going to be great, isn't it?
The beauty of the ARC, it's a mini WRC. I mean, the country's so big that each pocket has something different to offer. And starting off in Canberra, I think it is one of the trickiest rounds of the season, particularly the roads tomorrow, Saturday, probably the toughest in the championship. And you add water, it could be anyone's game. It's going to be a very, very interesting opening round.
I want to say thanks to Maguire Motorsport here in Service Park, brought to you by Petters, I should point out too. We're taking a little bit of shelter for now, but the lineup of cars and the drivers in 2024 is seriously, I mean, it kind of takes us back to around the 2005, 2006 mark. It's got that feel about it, doesn't it?
It does. Back then we had manufacturers and each team had a couple of drivers that could contend, and that's the thing. You start looking down the list and you go, wow, you start 10, it could be podium contention here. Stage wins on offer as the season transpires. Some of the up-and-coming names from last year that were sort of emerging are now established. They've got a season under their belt. And look at the cars. We've got Rally 2 cars leading the field in this championship. We've sort of moved on from, like you said, that mid-2000s where we had production-based rally cars. We've now gone into full-blown rally cars.
Now, brand new car for the reigning champion. It's just literally arrived from Europe. There's going to be a bit of learnings in that for the Bates Motorsport team, isn't there?
I think so, because any new car, even when they were developing their version of the Yaris, it takes some time. It's fresh out of Europe. I think it's done Monte Carlo and Sweden, not exactly what you'd prep for Canberra or the Australian conditions. I think Harry's had one dry test in it. You throw in a new MRF control tyre, which we'll no doubt get to as well. There'd be nervous energy about that. And of course, I also think there's this conflicting part of you're a Toyota-supported team and driver, even those inputs from Europe. Lewis is in the older car, until his car doesn't come for a couple of rounds. So I feel like he's content and probably knows what he's got. Harry, there's lots of learnings going on.
Probably an argument for the 2022 champion in Lewis Bates that known quantity, that stability, lends itself to him maybe with a little bit of advantage, certainly in the early part of this series.
I think the new car is where it's going to be. It's been made by the world champions in Toyota, so that car will come on strong. But I feel like myself, you think, I didn't quite get the new car. Harry's got that, the brother's got the new car, but you'd be content. Like I said, I know what I've got. I can just charge on for the first two rounds, let them sort out any bugs if there are any in the new car. So I think that does settle Lewis a little bit. I think Harry, his first car on the road as well, which is another element of this storyline. So there's a lot going on in Toyota at the moment.
Let's bounce around with a couple of other quick things. Firstly, it was a decade ago that Scott Petter won this championship. You've got a bit of an involvement in his return, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Our team, Maximum Motorsports, based and been operating or operate that the championship for him. We had him in, of course, the Subaru Challenge cars last year. The water's fresh out. But he's coming renewed. I think it's a different Scott Petter. He's a fairly intense character, very fast, but was probably fragile back when we competed against him. I feel like he got that championship, the one that he wanted. It was really emotional at the time, and he comes in fresh with the right people around him. Glenn McNeil on board. He's got the right co-driver, right car, right team. He's got a plan to try and be there at the end of the season and be in contention. So it's pretty cool.
You're absolutely right. A great mindset, I think, that he brings in, and with that time has come growth for him as a competitor as well. Over your shoulder in the background there, the beautiful Hyundai i20s to be run by the Rouleau family. Yeah. We know what Peter's like when it comes to Targa-based competition. Alex, I can't believe it. I mean, he's only 23. It feels like yesterday we were dealing with the teenager in supercars. Yeah. He's enjoying this, isn't he?
And adapted really well. I think it surprised most of us on how quickly he learnt the craft of the pace notes and being out there. They're loving it. I think Peter's gone, I should have been doing this 20 years ago. He's gone off and done WRC Sweden. That's where Steve Maguire's Skoda comes from. So there's all these intertwining interlinks that come together. He'll be fast this year. Got that year under his belt, made a few mistakes. They've got Steve Glennie on board for a reason, from the noting point of view to help with the driving as well. I think, later in the year, not only will those stage wins on sort of what were super stages, will come on forest stages, and then you might even see some podium results by the end of the year.
Can we add into the mix another element to the many, many stories that are here at the moment, and that is a new control tyre for everybody, MRF tyres.
And we had MRF a few years ago, and they're now back with their tyre that's sort of done very well in Europe, so MRF supporting it. No one's been on it, definitely not in the wet that I'm aware of. The lead teams have done some testing, have done it in the dry, probably only 1 or 2 days. There are some differences from last year. So, setup changes are happening on Lewis's car, and that's why I think there's so much going on in that new car for Harry. It's not only that, it's the tyre. What changes would we have made if we knew what the setup was? So the teams that are established to know what their car is are just adapting to the tyre, and anyone who's got a new car is adapting to that and the new tyre. And then, like I said, you throw in the water, no one knows what it's going to be like. Molly
Taylor heads up a great lineup for Production Cup too. She's back in a Subaru.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, there's great depth in the production field as well. Mick Harding from the Techworkz Automotive supporting this event. He's sort of the next seed in that. A couple of young guys that we saw, Josh Weedman, who was a junior champion last year in front-wheel drive car, steps up to a four-wheel drive car, as well as Aidan Peterson from Tassie, who's coming. So, that production's got some depth as well. But, nowadays, Molly's going to be fighting to try and no doubt get an outright result as well. Here, when the weather's like this, if she could stay tidy and not make any mistakes, this is when a production car, I feel, could come to the fore, as people might have some dramas in the wet.
Now, I can see just over Dean's shoulder, manager for the championship, Adrian Coppin. So why don't we kind of invite him a little bit impromptu into this this conversation.
He's probably under a bit of pressure.
Yeah. Well, work in progress, obviously. The key thing is, whilst you are moving a few goalposts here, we're going to go ahead here. I mean, that's the intention, isn't it? And it's going to be good.
Yeah, absolutely, Dino. Like, everyone's doing what they can to make sure that we go ahead. The weather's the weather. We can't really do much about it. But the organisers are working closely with the authorities. At the end of the day, it's safety. We need to be able to get medical services in the case there is an incident, and that's the paramount. So it's a lot of rain forecasted. Does it hit? Does it not? That's the $1 million question. So we'll just wait and see what happens.
You've made a little adjustment to the schedule already. Can you share a bit of that with us?
Yeah. So after this morning's reconnaissance, there's stage 3 and 6 for tomorrow. It's a really red clay base, very slippery like ice. A few crews are struggling in recce, so they've made the decision to cancel that stage for now. But that's all at the moment. So it's full steam ahead until Mother Nature has other ideas.
You've got a great group of volunteers, in these conditions that are helping to bring all this together. It's a massive undertaking, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. There's obviously a power of work being done by Adrian Dudok and his team at the Brindabella Motorsport Club, and then all of our Motorsport Australia officials that are out there playing in the mud to set up the stages and get ready for what hopefully is a cracking weekend of rallying.
We were pumped before about the state of the championship. I mean, in piecing it all together for 2024, I would imagine you're pretty excited about what's to come too.
Yeah, look, really excited. It's we've been building over the last few years, and I think all the teams are really investing in the championship. They are singularly the biggest stakeholder in this championship at the moment. But you can see with the machinery that's behind us and further up, they're all really committed, and it's like you were talking about before, it's sort of getting back to the yesteryears of some fierce competition.
Just a quick one on that. We're a winter-based sport, so it's not like we're not used to the weather. It's just trying to make it safe and pick the right stages. We know the weather's coming, so in some ways we're sort of forearmed is forewarned in a way.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it's been quite dry here in Canberra for the last few months, so hopefully that plays to our advantage. The water does soak in and run away. The forests in Tidbinbilla are known for draining really well, and Cowan on Sunday is really hard packed. So I'm very confident we'll get some rallying in this weekend.
Hey, thanks for stopping by and for sharing a bit of that with us, and we hope it's a great weekend for all concerned.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
There he is, Adrian Coppin. Is that what have we got happening here? This is Molly Taylor's car pulling in as we speak. We're in a bit of trouble here, are we?
I think we're in the Molly Taylor spot. We wanted to take shelter in here, so this will be where her base. Of course, being a Tassie-based car, I mean, this was the car that she campaigned a couple of years back. Loves this thing. Based out of Tassie, I think she's chucked in the Maguire truck, so part of this service for it. Just touch pointing on Adrian's thing as well. We're talking a lot about Saturday and that Tidbinbilla. One of the elements of Canberra is that you've almost got a rally of two. One stage is on one side of the city, and then the next day on the Sunday is on that Cowan side. That is a more traditional forest, and I think the sights will be that we'll get full running and should be okay there on Sunday, depending on what the full weather is.
A couple of quick ones to finish here. You know what it takes to win in Canberra. You've done that. It is a unique event from a technical perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, as I said at the start, I think this is almost the Saturday for me. The first day is the most technical of the season. It's probably as hard as all 5 rounds put together, who had their own elements, and it is really relying on being precise and not making any mistakes. I don't feel like I was the bravest driver that ever formed the championship, but probably was technically quite good and tried to minimise mistakes. And in the days that I did it was Asia Pacific. It was 3 days, and you had to make every stage and every kilometre count. So it will come down to the person who makes the least amount of mistakes and can pick the change in the surface when it's wet, push when they can, and basically, like I said, I think it'll come down to that.
Worst journalist question ever from me, with all those variables you just detailed. Who wins it?
God. I think that we'll see, and based on a bit of shakedown, Scott Petter will be fast. Clearly the Toyotas will be fast as well. Eddie's going to be quick. It's all the obvious answers. I don't know.
It is tough. It is genuinely tough.
This is the hard one for me because I felt my heart's with Scotty a little bit, but I think the settle of Lewis and his maturity from last year could show something. The weather changes things a bit in my mind.
Really excited to be working with this guy in 2024. You will see our daily coverage on 7+. We'll do a mixture of covering what happens on the stage, and then some guests will join us here on set for some one-on-one conversations, technical input from Dino and more. Really important that you stay across our social media channels too for regular updates. So we can't wait to bring it all to you. Round 1 of the Bosch Motorsport Australia Rally Championship, all here from Canberra.